got to finish second. He's got to pass maybe some Sauber Ferraris to get there. Might be a handful, might be a touch more difficult to get past for him than it was for Michael Schumacher, but nonetheless Raikkonen now on the right tyres and the track is in the sweet spot for him.
In comes Jarno Trulli from 6th place in the Renault. A poor qualifying performance on Saturday after a mesmerisingly good one on Friday by Jarno Trulli. He was fastest of all in first qualifying, but threw it all away yesterday with an accident in the warm-up which damaged his race car and really put him out of kilter. This has been a slick stop though by the Renault team, 6.2, and he is back on his way. Just what you were saying about Sauber Ferrari. They're powered obviously by the Ferrari engine, and we saw Frentzen, who seemed to get out of the way for Michael Schumacher in a battle for position fairly easily. But I asked Peter Sauber about this recently. I said, people think that you know, you play with Ferrari and you let their guys through, and he said, I don't understand why anybody says that. It's not an order that we have. I've never told any of my drivers to do that. And in fact, sometimes he said, I have Jean Todt and Michael Schumacher banging on my door saying, why don't they get out of the way more easily?
Okay, I believe that. Peter Sauber says that, and that is a McLaren. Is that in the background, a McLaren or a BAR? It's a Button replay, so it's the replay of Jenson Button, who was in 2nd place, blowing up. On board then with Jarno Trulli. He's currently in 6th place, but a lap down.
But ahead of teammate Alonso. They've both made 3 pit stops here this afternoon, so have a lot of people. Juan Montoya has made 4 if you count his drive-through penalty for the incident with Rubens Barrichello. 30 laps to go, and the familiar sight here in Indianapolis of a Ferrari at the front.
Big black scar on Michael's left-hand side pod. He's obviously had a contact with somebody else's tyre rubber on the side of his car. But he leads. It was 10.5 seconds. He's now down in the 1:15s. So that is definitely the zone. This is 4 seconds away from race pace. So that is the time then to come in and put some slicks on. But there's no point in risking it. His Bridgestones don't work that well on a greasy track, the dry tyres. So they run these as long as they can get away with. But any time now, he'll be in the zone to change them, the need to change them. But he'll want to just stretch the fuel window as well. There are 2 criteria here, in that he wants to fuel it to the end, but he doesn't want to be running on tyres that are really getting too ragged. Jenson Button walking back to the pits. Sad for him.
Yeah, very sad, very frustrating. He said yesterday afternoon after qualifying his only hope for the Grand Prix today was going to be some rain, and well, he got the rain he wanted. But unfortunately, once again, the reliability of the BAR has let him down. Great shot there of the dirty mark Martin was referring to on the side pod of the Ferrari as Michael Schumacher comes through to complete lap 45. And he'll be thinking now about Kimi Raikkonen, who is 57 seconds behind him on the road as Fisichella pits from 5th place. And Fisichella is, more crucially, 42 seconds behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen. That's the margin he's got to make up in order to get there. Fisichella's got a problem. 2
fuel rigs then. They had to use the spare fuel rig on Fisichella's car, and that one looked a bit tough to get out too, so terrible pit stop for him. I think what's significant at the moment is Raikkonen is only just getting into his stride. So he's in P4, 21 seconds behind Heidfeld, and some 45 behind Frentzen. He's got to finish second to Michael to keep the championship alive. And right now, the Saubers have got more than enough pace to make that very difficult for him. Raikkonen does a 15.2. Frentzen does, Heidfeld rather, does a 1 minute 15.3. The Saubers are flying.
They really are. They've done a lot of work on this car in the wind tunnel. It's taken them a lot of time to get this car better sorted out, but some were saying it might be too much, too little, too late. But certainly here in race conditions, there's nothing wrong with the Sauber, powered by last year's Ferrari engine, the one that took Rubens Barrichello to victory here 12 months ago. That's the lump in the back of the Sauber, who's blown up. It's a Renault. It looks like Alonso has blown up. He was in 7th place and in front of Montoya on the road. So that Montoya now is up into the points paying positions in 7th place.
Said hydraulic, we're hearing hydraulic failure for Button, which rather surprises me, to be honest. Unless it was hydraulic fluid that was burning and smoking away. Looked more like an engine problem, but that's the report we're getting from down in the pits. Michael Schumacher's lead now 14.5 seconds, and Raikkonen beginning now to pull about a second a lap out of the Saubers, but Frentzen is still awful long way ahead of him. Of course, the Saubers are out of kilter on their stops, so they will have to pit again. Did they fuel Raikkonen to the end of the Grand Prix? Didn't appear to, did it? If it was a true 6.7 seconds, he'll have to pit again too. Michael Schumacher's intermediates now look like slicks. There's virtually no tread left on them at all. And there's the Renault of Alonso. Let's hope truly keeps going. I'm flying out of here with Flavio Briatore, and he'll be gone if the other one drops out.
Well, Montoya's certainly going to be hoping that he drops out. He needs 2 more people in front of him to drop out in order to take the championship on to Suzuka. He needs to finish 5th. If Schumacher is going to win here today, Montoya needs to get himself up into 5th place to take it on to Suzuka. And Louise is with the unfortunate Jenson Button.
Jenson, do you want a shoulder to cry on or a tyre to kick?
I don't know what I want to do at the moment, but it's probably the worst feeling I've had in racing. You know, when things are going well and then suddenly you have a problem like that, it's a nightmare. 4 years now and I still haven't had a podium, so.
You led a race for the first time though, is that any consolation?
It's not really, no. You got to be there at the end.
Bad luck, Jenson.
I think when he reflects on it, he'll feel it's a consolation, James. And I mean, he led well, made good tyre choices. A little bit fortunate on the timing of his pit stop, but he made the most of it. So I think he'll be relatively pleased. Michael Schumacher then getting ready for a stop. He's still lapping in the 15s, but clearly they're now in the fuel window.
Yeah, the track is really very dry. Still lapping, as you say, in the 15s. That's 3 or 4 seconds off the pace of the early stages of the Grand Prix, as Jarno Trulli and Heinz-Harald Frentzen circulating very close on the track. Trulli is a lap down on Frentzen, so he's trying to unlap himself, and he looks at the moment to be a little bit quicker. Schumacher then all set down at the Ferrari garage for his 3rd stop of the afternoon. If you recall, he came in for a set of dry tyres and then came in just a lap later for some wet ones. He was unlucky with the timing, but it's worked out very well for him, this weather here at Indianapolis today. And this guy is keeping the pressure on all the way. He's driven absolutely brilliantly. The Michelin tyres haven't been the ones to be on, but he has kept the pressure on Michael Schumacher, who now makes a stop.
It always is so easy when the pressure's off, but this young man now has to put in the stint of his life if he wants to keep the championship alive this afternoon. Can't catch Michael Schumacher unless Schumi has some kind of problem, but he's certainly got to catch and pass both the Saubers. Michael Schumacher out onto the racetrack, then Kimi Raikkonen coming around the banking, and that then is the true distance between them.
Well, Heinz-Harald Frentzen has won Grand Prix in the past. The last time was in Italy back in 1999, and he is currently in 1st place. He's the only man in the field who has only made 1 pit stop this afternoon. I don't know what their strategy was going into the race, but it was perfect for the changeable conditions. But he does have to make another stop, and we would certainly expect Michael Schumacher to sail past and be back in the lead again. Heidfeld going strongly as well for the Sauber team. What an afternoon they're having.
Frustratingly, and as Frentzen pits then, the leader pits at the end of lap 49. There he goes. So Michael Schumacher will look at this 3-way battle down into turn 1 as the Toyota of Damata exits, having had a drive-through penalty for speeding. And Ted, we're on board with Michael Schumacher. Ted is down in the pit lane still.
I'm afraid to say that I think David Coulthard has a problem. His engineers just come off the pit wall. They've made a space in the garage. That's always a dead giveaway. What are his lap times like, Martin?
Let's have a look. Difficult to say because it's just showing he's coming in the pit, so it doesn't show a lap time right now. But he presumably was sort of getting in the zone as the track dried out. He was on those dry tyres, as we know. There is Frentzen exiting with the Minardi. Ted is down there.
Yes, and it was DC. Terrible, terrible luck for David Coulthard. Another retirement. Not quite sure the engine was still going. Maybe it was a gear selection problem. Brave choice to stay out on those dry tyres. He gets out of the car, out of another race.
Yeah, poor old DC. He was very, very strong here last year, and well, he was a little bit caught out, wasn't he, with the tyre choice. One senses that he was probably testing the ground for Kimi Raikkonen, just radioing in whether the track was right for the dry tyres. He took a gamble and it didn't work for him. 24 to go here at Indianapolis. Michael Schumacher is leading now after Heinz-Harald Frentzen came into the pits. Frentzen has rejoined, is being shown in 3rd place at the moment, so it's a Sauber 2-3.